My name is Vinny Camma. I am 21 years old and I'm an acoustic singer-songwriter. I've been playing music I was probably around 6. My parents got me a small little Yamaha keyboard for my birthday, and they got me taking lessons, and I don't know, so that's like kind of started when I started playing music. It was kind of, I guess you could say I kind of started making music around the same time, because I would go to my lessons and I'd come home, and the way piano lessons work, if you're not familiar with piano lessons, is that they give you stuff that you're supposed to practice every week, and that you're supposed to come back and you're supposed to have practiced and played what you were assigned for the week. You know, like any kind of learning that's led by a teacher. But I was terrible at that and would sit on the piano and just play my own things, and it would be a pain to try to get me and play like the music I was supposed to. But I could sit there for an hour, 2 hours, and just play stuff that I just kind of made up. So I guess that's kind of when I started making music. I've been writing music for at least 7 or 8 years. I started writing music when I was in about 7th, 8th grade. The songs weren't phenomenal. At the time they were written, they weren't phenomenal. But over time they kind of got better. But that's about when I started writing some of my first songs. Songs like If You Know My Name and Hindsight were both written around that time. I worked with those over a set of years before finally recording them and putting them out. But I mean, that's probably 7 or 8 years, I'd say, is how long I've been making my own music, writing my own music. My process for writing music, typically, it doesn't always go like this, but it's typically, I sit down and I'm messing around on my guitar, playing some chords, trying to play through some stuff, see something that to me sounds unique. Often that results in me accidentally learning a song that I didn't know before. I'd be like, oh, this is really good. And then it clicks in my head that, oh yeah, because that's a song that's already been written. So then I have to try and find something else. And once I find some chords and some riffs and some rhythm that really works, I start chipping away at words. I do a chorus, and then I do some verses, maybe a bridge. I'll work it all in there. So that's the way it normally goes. But every once in a while, I'll just be doing something throughout the day, and a line will hit me. A lyric will hit me while I'm doing, this woodworking project, or something, or these couple of words that rhyme will hit me in the middle of a class, and like I'll be like, oh my god, I gotta write this down. Like all day, I'll just be like carrying around this little piece of paper with this one little lyrics written on it, so that I can try and work on it later. But for the most part, I'd say it comes music first and then lyrics. The album that I'm working on right now is called The Hurt. So The Hurt is the culmination of songwriting going back, I want to say 4 or 5 years. Songs that I wrote while I was in high school. A lot of them I wrote while I was in college at the University of Mount Union. They range from topics of mental health, friendships, relationships. It's stories about things that I went through as a person, that I'm going through as a person, that the people around me sometimes have been through. And almost all the songs have a certain amount of truth to them. Sometimes it's the dirty truth, sometimes it's the honest truth. I would say that the purpose of The Hurt is not to make everything frilly and happy. The purpose of The Hurt is to be real. And that's why the title track and the album is called The Hurt, because you can't always hide your pain. Sometimes you just have to face it. As far as musicians that inspire me, in my music and the kind of music that I create. I'm a big fan of a band called The Dangerous Summer. They're a band out of Maryland, pop punk rock band. I've seen them a couple times in concerts. I think I've seen them 3 times as of this filming. But I fell in love with their music right around the tail end of high school. But their lead singer, AJ Perdomo, is a huge influence on my music. I would say that the way I sing and some of the way I songwrite is heavily influenced by Dangerous Summer songs. Ed Sheeran and John Mayer are 2 other big influences on the way I write my music, the way I phrase some of my verses. Just Ed Sheeran's kind of acoustic pop rock style is something that's appealing to me. And then there's also Mike Shinoda. Mike Shinoda is the keyboard player for Linkin Park. He also has a side rap career under the name Fort Minor, and then he recently released stuff under his actual name, Mike Shinoda. But I would say it's less of his music style that influences me and more of his personality style and the way that he carries himself. He's the kind of guy that he's out there, he's outspoken, he believes what he believes, he's not getting in trouble, he's not, creating beef, as to say, but, he's a very good person outside of his music, and let's be real, I can get behind the music too. I love the music. But personality-wise, he's probably one of the people I would really say influences me. And the last person is John Feldman. He's a member of the band Goldfinger, and he's also a producer in the pop punk rock genre world. He's worked with acts like Blink-182, he's worked with The Fame, he's worked with Boys Like Girls. He's worked with so many different bands, and every once in a while I'll just be looking through information about a band that I like and some stuff about their songs. I'll see produced by John Feldman, composing credit John Feldman. I'm like, that makes so much sense. And it's just the way he mixes a lot of the music, it has heavily influenced the way that I do a lot of my mixes with his stereo panning and all sorts of other things. So I would say that those people are some of my biggest influences. People that inspire me that aren't musicians, I would say that it's generally the people around me, my friends, my family. My girlfriend Alyssa, she's a big influence. Of course, when you're in a relationship, you end up writing a lot of songs about your significant other. I have one off of my In the Middle of the Night EP called No Such Thing as Distance, parentheses, I'll Be There. That song is, of course, about her. I think I mentioned her by name in that song. And there's another song off of this album that I'm recording right now called The Hurt. And the song that is about her, there's a couple actually. There's Dancing, Imperfections, and this one's a mouthful. It's The Little Things About the Girl That Drive Me Wild. Yes, that's the full title. I've had people say, why don't you suggest it to they've suggested why don't you shorten it to Little Things or Drives Me Wild or something like that. I'm like, no, it's the full title or bust. And so, she influences me, or she inspires me a lot. I'd say my mom inspires me a lot because she really got me into music. She really pushed for me to keep taking lessons. When I wanted to get my first guitar, the person I went and asked was my mom. Partially because I knew that she was kind of a pushover and she would say yes, but partially because I don't know, because I can trust my mom, and I know that my mom likes my music and she likes to see me do things that I enjoy. I would absolutely say that my mom is one of my biggest inspirations. Sometimes rewarding, we'll phrase it this way. Recording your own music at home is a sometimes rewarding, often frustrating process where you've got this home set up. So once you buy the equipment and you're doing a home recording, you don't have to pay anything else, which is the great part. Like, you don't have to pay per hour for studio time. And you don't have to like drive somewhere else for studio time. You just go to wherever your studio space is in the house and you're off to the races, you can start recording, which is great. What's not great is the fact that, for the most part, unless you got somebody else that comes over and helps you do all your recording, you're doing everything by yourself. You're setting up your microphones by yourself. You're hitting play and you're, recording everything by yourself. You're mixing and mastering everything by yourself. You're playing all the music by yourself. You are getting frustrated often by yourself. Every time you have to do a new take, you have to kind of reset yourself, start over from the beginning, and that, like, starting over requires you to stop a recording, put down your guitar, maybe adjust some things, fix some other things. It's not like you have somebody else in there who can just assist you with what you're doing. You gotta do everything yourself. But, you can at the end of the day, you can sit down and be like, I did this all by myself. I didn't have anybody help me. I did everything on my own. And, that's pretty awesome. That's a pretty rewarding feeling. It comes right at the end of the day, after all the frustration of doing all the recording and the mistakes and the 150 takes of one vocal track because you just can't get it right. But on that 150th take, when you finally get it right, man, it's so satisfying. But the rewards are few and far between, but they are enormous and just so satisfying when they come. On top of all the challenges that I listed earlier with recording at home, this documentary is being filmed during the COVID-19 outbreak of 2020. It could be later known as the COVID-19 outbreak of 2020 through 2024. I don't know. But that's going on right now while we're filming this. So some of that compounds all the challenges that you have in a normal home recording setting, because you can't go anywhere. You can't, it's not like you have the opportunity to just go out to the store and be like, oh man, I need this percussion instrument, or this guitar needs a repair. You're stuck with what you got. So if things start to break, and if you just don't have what you need, you have to make do. The Hurt was recorded while both of my guitars were having electronics issues. My bass was having electronics issues. I started to run out of strings at one point because strings were breaking, and I was like, I don't have enough strings. I have other instruments that need other repairs. I don't have all the percussion instruments I would want, but there's a saying that, like, desperate times call for desperate measures. So instead of complaining, which is something I do a lot probably, but instead of just being all woe is me, I had to take some initiative. For example, I had to build my own snare. Like I had mentioned, my bass guitar is having some electronics issues, where one of the pickups isn't working. So I can only really use two of the strings on my bass. So what I had to do was I called one of my friends and I said, hey, I know this is going to be a really weird question, but can I borrow your bass guitar? And she's wonderful. Her name's Lucia. And she was like, of course, yes, no problem. And so sometimes you gotta, borrow things. You have to make do with what you have. I am not a well-known artist. I'm not like Spotify famous. I'm not Twitter famous. I'm not, anything famous. And I probably will never be famous, if we're being honest. My music will probably never take off. Wouldn't be opposed if it did. That'd be awesome. But, the best way, in my opinion, that artists like me, like myself, who are making music mostly for the fun of making music, they're putting it out there because, on the off chance that people really dig the song, you want to have it out there. But, I'm not expecting to sell millions of records. Like I said, wouldn't be opposed to selling millions of records. But people are going to come across me because friends and family take the time and hit share. They, when they're talking about music with their friends, they say, I got a nephew that actually makes some pretty decent acoustic music. This is his name. Here's one of his songs that I really like. for people to take the time out of their day to listen to, my music means more to me than most people would realize. Because, we get in the car, we jump up, we get in the car and we throw on some music and we drive. And, we got the music that we love in the background. Next time you get in the car, play an artist that a lot of people don't know. Play an artist that doesn't get a lot of plays, whose music, you don't see in commercials or stuff. Support local artists, support small-time artists, because honestly, we need a little more than the big guys do. Music has this funny way of conveying emotion. It conveys feeling, it conveys experience in a way that other art forms can't. When you listen to a song, every part of that song is playing into some kind of appeal to who you are as a person. The way that the music is played and the instruments used, they set this certain mood, they evoke a certain memory, a feeling. Sometimes, and sometimes, you combine that with lyrics that are just oddly specific enough that somebody out there hears that song and they go, oh my God, I felt that. I know what that is, I have a specific memory that I know what that is. I know what you're talking about. So it has the opportunity to do two things. It can create a 1 in a million connection between two people who would otherwise, have no connection whatsoever. Or it can create a connection between one person and millions of people, because you can write about things super specific to people's life experiences, and you can also write music that's super universal. A lot of people have dealt with heartbreak. A lot of people fall in love. A lot of people are afraid of, things that they don't know. A lot of people are happy. A lot of people are sad. Not everybody's been cheated on. Not everybody's, dealt with drugs or alcohol or other addictions. Not everybody has the same experiences. Some people do have similar experiences, but that's the beauty of music, is it can create that connection, and it's a language that once you get pretty fluent in it, you can communicate almost seamlessly with most people.